He was inside a prison when the world suddenly changed. Zombies everywhere, guns stopped working. But Xavier didn't run. He stayed in his cell, watching, because he noticed something strange. The people who fought back were getting stronger. And then, a level 5 execution zombie started walking toward him. At that moment, Xavier had a choice: run like everyone else, or test his theory. In a federal prison, Xavier was lying on his steel bed when suddenly his vision was filled with blue windows announcing an abyss breach. Since no higher sequence warriors were found, the system initiated a forceful evolution protocol, placing the world under the jurisdiction of the infinite record. Before Xavier could process this, a violent tremor shook the room. He felt an intense, searing physical pain. This pain, combined with the screams of other prisoners outside, forced him to accept one terrifying truth. Reality had changed. Xavier accepted this transition easily. Why? Because of his unique philosophy. He believed the human mind could only imagine scenarios that already existed in other dimensions, making the mind a multidimensional search engine. Instead of rushing out into the chaos, he followed the system's instructions. He opened his status window, level 0. But his physical attributes were well above average, remnants of his past as a soccer player and gym goer, before he was wrongly imprisoned. Outside, screams, gunshots. A guard panicked, realizing bullets were now ineffective against the prisoners who had turned into zombies. Xavier observed the hallway, inmates, officers, all of them, the walking dead. He realized he could get stronger by killing them, but he chose to wait, to gather information. He used his iron bed as a shield, watching the corridor through the bars. Suddenly, he saw it. A level 5 execution-type zombie. It wielded 2 glowing swords, effortlessly decapitating anyone in its path. Xavier tried to hide, to stay silent, but a sudden movement caught the monster's attention. The zombie began walking toward his cell. Step, step, step. Xavier realized his time of observation was over. A confrontation was imminent. The sound of steady footsteps echoed as the monster approached. Xavier realized that facing it was his only option. He quickly scanned his cell and yanked a 3-foot iron water pipe from the wall, causing cold water to spray everywhere. Outside, chaos reigned. Prisoners and officers ignored his plight, using the distraction to escape. The zombie began cutting through the cell's iron bars with its glowing swords, and as if they were paper. A piece of a cut bar flew at Xavier like a bullet. He dodged it, grabbed it, choosing it as a sturdier weapon than the rusty pipe. Then, the zombie lunged. It aimed for his throat with incredible speed. Xavier blocked the blow, but the sheer force almost knocked him down. A head-on fight would be fatal. As they clashed, Xavier noticed something. When the glowing sword touched the wet floor, it emitted steam, and its light flickered. The water. Using the environment to his advantage, he lured the monster under the running spray. As the swords began to dissipate, Xavier lunged. He grabbed the zombie's ankles, holding it in place with everything he had. Then, he relentlessly hammered the monster's head with the iron pipe until it shattered. A ball of light merged with Xavier. System windows, level 3 reached. Stat boosts, and a special inventory dimension, rewards for his high ranking. 2 items dropped from the corpse, an executioner-class scroll and a scroll of sacrifice. The latter allowed him to sacrifice the corpse to summon a battle familiar. He reached out. He was about to press yes to initiate the sacrifice, when suddenly, a chilling sensation ran down his spine. Doing something this risky isn't my style, Xavier muttered, reconsidering the sacrifice. He thought he might find a more powerful corpse later, but suddenly, an irresistible force took control of his body. It forced his hand forward. Yes, the zombie's corpse dissolved into light particles, tearing a hole through the fabric of reality. System error, system error. Abyssal corruption hijacked the summoning process. The world shook violently. Portals opened worldwide, unleashing nightmares as the system accelerated evolution by 1,000 times. Amidst this chaos, the Executioner class scroll shattered and merged with Xavier, new class. Acquired Deathwill Executioner, the world's first, legendary class. But Xavier's attention was elsewhere. A stunningly beautiful woman stepped out of the dark portal. Snowy white skin, long, black hair, and a cold, seductive aura. She looked at him and smiled. "Thank you," she whispered, "for using the scroll. Your actions have helped the Abyss open a new front. In this world." She mocked the infinite record, her voice dripping with disdain. "They claim to be protectors, while sacrificing billions of lives." Xavier tried to stay calm, tried to check his status, but her demonic voice echoed directly inside his head. It was a thrill, 1,000 years of effort, and she had finally succeeded. She looked at him, her eyes glowing, and whispered, "My legendary human pet." The demonic woman looked at Xavier with a playful grin. "Get on all fours," she commanded, her voice dripping with arrogance, "and bark like a dog." Stunned by her insolence, a dark thought crossed Xavier's mind. "You," he thought vengefully. "You should be the one barking." Suddenly, the tables turned. The gorgeous woman fell to her knees. Her eyes widened in horror as she began emitting sensual barks. Confused and disgusted, Xavier yelled at her, his fear forgotten in the heat of the moment. System announcement. Contract successful. Master, Xavier. Servant, Zarin, a 7th sequence abyssal queen. Zarin was devastated. A divine being, now a slave to a lowly human. Xavier, fueled by the rage of his false imprisonment, met her icy glare with a confident smirk. But the victory was short-lived. New title acquired, bane of human civilization. The system blamed him for pushing humanity toward extinction. Angered by the unfairness, he looked for Zarin, but she had vanished. Yet, he could still feel her. A cold presence bound to his soul. The prison was transforming into a death zone. Zombies were devouring each other, growing stronger by the second. Staying was suicide. Xavier spotted a drainage opening in the wall, and he began to sprint. He had one goal now: to survive, to rewrite his fate, and to find his family. "What a disgusting smell," Xavier muttered, holding his breath as he navigated the prison's sewers. He pushed forward until he spotted light, heaving the manhole cover open. He was out. D-Block was behind him. His escape was successful, but the sound attracted 10 zombies. Instead of fleeing, Xavier felt a surge of hope. He remembered his legendary class, Deathwill Executioner, power through execution milestones, stats and skills for every kill. As the hungry zombies closed in, Xavier's senses peaked. He tracked every movement. He dodged a claw swipe, then crushed the heads of 2 zombies aiming for his legs. White light merged with his body. He felt stronger, faster. He didn't stop. He executed the 3rd, then the 4th. Now, surrounded by the remaining 7, Xavier felt a rush of adrenaline. He didn't feel fear. He grinned, as the monsters themselves began to hesitate. Nearby, survivors, Aaron, Millie, and Jackie, watched in absolute awe. To them, Xavier didn't look like a prisoner. He moved like a Death Reaper through the horde. Meanwhile, in the head warden's office, Marcus Bloodwhite watched the carnage. His eyes were cold, indifferent. To him, the prisoners were just trash receiving their due punishment. Suddenly, a mutilated zombie burst into his office. Marcus didn't flinch. He summoned a ball of orange fire, a ruthless glint in his eyes. "Don't worry," he whispered, with a dark smile. "I will free you from your suffering." System notification. You have leveled up. You have reached level 4. Notifications echoed, but Xavier remained focused on the last zombie, a one-eyed creature in orange rags. With a swift arc of his rusty bar, he shattered its skull, expertly sidestepping the mess. He ignored the corpse. His eyes were fixed on the screen. Kill streak 10. The first milestone. He waited for his reward, but a thunderous, wolfish howl interrupted the silence. Instinctively, Xavier sprinted toward a nearby checkpoint building. Inside, Millie, Jackie, and Aaron watched in horror as a 10-foot-tall gray wolf chased him. Then, betrayal. Aaron, with cold indifference, used ice arrows to block the entrance and the stairs. He locked Xavier out with the beast, while he fled to the roof with the women. Xavier cursed the traitor. The wolf lunged, its steel-crushing jaws narrowly missing him. Target identified, level 15 gray wolf. The wolf charged again. Xavier dove, smashing through Aaron's ice barrier just in time. The massive beast collided with the concrete wall, its head getting stuck in the narrow opening. The impact rattled Xavier's internal organs, but he saw his chance. Weak point detected. Eyes. Xavier lunged. He drove his iron bar through the monster's eyes in a frantic, brutal assault until the giant went limp. His execution streak reset to 0. It wasn't a single-hit kill, but it didn't matter. Xavier absorbed a massive soul record, level 8 reached. Rejuvenated by the power, he let out a long sigh of relief. He looked down at the ground, at the extraordinary items dropped by the high-level beast. Xavier looked down at his rewards. The first, a sharp sword with a golden hilt. The second, a bottle of glowing green liquid. Item identified, wolf iron sword. It hummed with power, boosting his strength and agility. Item identified, wolf blood recovery potion. A safety net for healing and neutralizing mana poisoning. Xavier smiled. Finally, a real weapon. But fearing the bottle might break in the chaos, he remembered his reward. He summoned the 10-slot inventory. With a wave of his hand, space itself warped to accommodate the items. Seamless. Perfect. He looked toward the stairs, knowing the watchtowers led to the exit. But as he glanced back at the dead wolf, the weight of his risks hit him. What if he had died? What would his parents think? His little sister? He shook the thought away. He couldn't do this alone. Then he remembered. Zarin. Despite his resentment, despite her attempt to humiliate him, he was the master. He called out into the shadows. "Come out, Zarin!" Meanwhile, on the rooftop, tension was rising. Aaron scolded Millie for her distraction, while Samuel watched with eyes full of jealousy. In this lawless new world, he viewed Millie as his property. "We need to move," Jackie urged, "the military base, before sunset." But then, a violent tremor shook the building. As Samuel tried to play the hero for a frightened Risa, a terrifying, soul-piercing howl erupted from below. Aaron's face went pale. The wolf was trying to break in. The image of Xavier being chased by the wolf was fresh in Aaron's mind. "We have to leave," he urged, his voice trembling. "Now!" But Samuel interrupted with a chilling, arrogant laugh. He mocked Aaron's cowardice, while crudely taking advantage of a terrified Risa. As she clung to him for protection, Samuel felt a surge of predatory pride. He ignored the visible discomfort of Jackie and Millie. To him, this lawless world was a playground. Suddenly, the howling stopped. The tremors ceased. Silence. Millie, struck by an impossible thought, sprinted downstairs. Aaron and Jackie followed, leaving Samuel and Risa behind. Below, Xavier watched as Zarin emerged from his own shadow. Her demonic beauty nearly shattered his focus. But while Xavier struggled for composure, Zarin was seething with pure rage. She looked for any way to break the contract, any way to kill the lowly human who now held her leash. Xavier sensed her distress. He approached her boldly. "Help me escape," he promised, his voice steady. "Help me understand this world, and I won't make things hard for you." Just then, the others burst into the room. They froze, stunned by the massive wolf corpse and Zarin's overwhelming presence. While Aaron and Millie were entranced by her beauty, Jackie found her voice. Did you kill this monster?" she asked, looking at Xavier. Zarin remained cold, aloof. She ignored them as if they were ants, but as she vanished back into the shadows, she cast one brief, mysterious look at Jackie, a look that Xavier didn't fail to notice. Interesting. Someone could actually resist my charm. Zarin's words lingered in Xavier's mind as he analyzed the newcomers. He recognized Millie, who couldn't stop staring. And then, there was Aaron, the man who had tried to kill him by blocking the tower entrance. Xavier's gaze shifted to Jackie, a fit woman in a sleek black suit. System scan initiated. Aaron, level 5, the strongest. Yet his physical weaknesses were highlighted in bright red before Xavier's eyes. Once Zarin vanished, her hypnotic charm lifted. Jackie repeated her question. "Did you kill it?" Xavier didn't even look at her. "Focus on escaping," he said coldly, instead of asking questions. "The wolf's pack will be here soon." They headed upstairs. Xavier trailed behind, cautiously. He wasn't going to be backstabbed twice. He checked his status. Level 8, ranked 10,034th globally. New skill acquired, Predation Sense. Upon reaching the rooftop, they found Samuel and Risa. The scene was disgusting. Aaron exploded in fury, but Jackie ignored the drama. She pointed toward the main exit. Xavier looked out, and his heart sank. Thousands Thousands of zombies swarmed the gate, including massive armored variants that now looked like walking tanks. He considered the walls. Maybe he could climb? But then, he looked up. Monstrous flying creatures circled the sky, their hawk-like eyes waiting. One move into the open, and they would be torn apart. Target identified, mutated jewel wasp, level 20, weakness, fire. Xavier's predation sense pinpointed the giant wasp in the sky, but he had no way to ignite it. Below, the nightmare intensified. Monstrous howls signaled the arrival of the wolf pack, tearing through zombies and survivors alike. Millie vomited at the sight of the carnage, but Xavier remained eerily calm, his emotions suppressed by his legendary class. Suddenly, 2 Frostwolf scouts ambushed them from behind. Level 10. Aaron, desperate and selfish, used his last bit of mana to freeze the wolves' legs and fled. He left Xavier alone, again. In a moment of heightened clarity, Xavier swapped his iron bar for the wolf iron sword. He punched the first wolf's skull with a crushing strength of 34, then narrowly dodged a lethal barrage of ice bullets from the second. With ghost-like speed, he sliced through both. Kill streak 2. At the front, the situation was suicide. Zombies were climbing the watchtower like ants. A desperate Samuel offered to help Aaron's sick mother in exchange for protection, but Aaron didn't even look back. Then, the monsters reached the roof. Samuel revealed his true colors, slapping a hysterical Risa aside just to save his own skin. Millie and Aaron stepped in to save her, but Jackie warned them, "Don't waste your mana." Just then, he arrived. Xavier, his sword drenched in blood, clearing a path through the horde like a grim reaper. Millie watched in absolute awe as he moved, but Xavier didn't care about the stares or the drama. He focused on one thing, escaping, before they were pinned between the zombies ahead and the wolf pack behind. In minutes, Xavier slew over 35 zombies, bringing his total to 45. Surprisingly, instead of exhausting him, each kill fueled him with a strange, dark energy. His strikes became more lethal, more precise. He embraced the power. His eyes were set on one goal, the 100 execution milestone. Jackie, Aaron, and a nauseated Millie followed the bloody path Xavier carved through the horde. Behind them, Samuel watched. His heart was rotting with envy. He decided that a lowly prisoner didn't deserve such a powerful blade. He was going to steal it. As they neared the exit, the nightmare evolved. The zombie's skin began to harden, turning into steel-like armor. But it didn't matter. Xavier reached level 9. By targeting weak spots with cold efficiency, he finally hit the mark. Milestone, reached 100 executions. Reward, Warden's Ruin Blade, a blade forged to tear through mutants. Bonus reward, first sequence insta-kill token. An ultimate relic, capable of erasing an enemy's existence. Reaching the main gate, they found chaos, a desperate crowd of civilians and inmates. Amidst the panic, an awakened youth appeared, crackling with lightning. He drew looks of awe, and the murderous gaze of criminals waiting to strike. Suddenly, a zombie skull shattered against the gate from a massive impact. Xavier descended the stairs, a blood-soaked figure with a kill streak of 110. He didn't say a word. He just stood there, coldly scanning the crowd.